Okay, guys. There it is. There is our pieced together, just put in place, robbing Peter to pay Paul, March 2023 star block for our So a Year Full of Stars quilt-along, quilt-as-you-go project. So, if you're watching this in the future, hey, how's it going? You don't have to be in March 2023 to do this project. You can do it anytime you want. I happen to use Halloween fabric here. It's black and orange. So I'm actually glad I did, in March. It's not Halloween. It's St. Patrick's Day, which is coming up really soon. And I want to do a special project for that. But this is what we have. And I'm really glad I used this black and orange because look how it pops. It is vibrant. And this was just like a prototype. And I just kind of used like scrap fabric. I actually bought this fabric specifically to use as a template fabric because it's not my favorite and I wouldn't buy this normally. But it was a remnant and it was on sale for a lot off. So I thought I can just, use this for projects, templates, and stuff that I don't really care about. So I'm glad I bought it because look how it pops. It's just awesome. Anyway. Let's sew this together so we will be close to done. This is the fun part right here. Now that we made all our HSTs and our half square triangles, now we can piece this all together. So, because there's a lot of little pieces here, a lot of little squares, we have to make sure that we get them in the right order because otherwise we're going to be ripping seams out and redoing it and getting frustrated. And it's already really close to 1 a.m., so we don't want to be doing that. Well, at least I don't want to be doing that. I don't know when you're doing this project, but it's probably not at 1 a.m. I probably can guarantee that. Maybe not everybody, but not everybody's as crazy as I am for sewing. Anyway, okay, let's get this done. So, you can do it a couple different ways, but I'm just going to sew the first top row together. I'm just going to sew all those together. And then I'm going to sew the next row together. And then I'll sew the next row together. Pretty much that's how I'm going to do it. I'm just going to go down and sew all these in rows together. Now, you don't have to do that. You can also do it this way. Here, let me bring this camera a little closer. You can also sew these little 4-patch together. You can sew that 4-patch. You can sew these two together. You can sew this 4-patch together. And once you sew those 4-patch, this and this, then you can sew those together if you want. Or you can sew this 4-patch together, this 4-patch, sew these together, sew this 4-patch together, and then sew those together. Sew those together. Sew these together. And then you only have 2 lines to be concerned about instead of 1, 2, 3, 4 lines. So, do you see how that works? Actually, now that I think about it, I actually like that better. I think I might do that. Or if you are more columnar, is that a word? Columnar aligned, you can sew these columns together, sew those columns together and then sew them all together that way, if that makes sense. So, however it works in your brain for you to sew those rows and keep them in order, use that way. I actually like that 4-patch way now that I said that. So I think I'm going to do that because it's going to be a little bit easier to square up. So, that is, look at all this light. It's like I'm an angel or something. It's like I'm an angel. Okay. So I'm going to do the 4-patch way. You can do whatever way you want, but I'm just going to demo that, and then we'll see how it goes from there. Because I think it'll be, actually now I think about it, I think it'll be easier to square up. So you can square up a 4-patch, with a square triangle. So, square triangle? Did I just say that? Half square triangle? You can square it up with a half square triangle. All right, let's get cracking. Okay, so, but it matters like where you start on your project. Actually, it doesn't matter where you start on your project because check this out. these 4 patches, when you sew them together, they all create the same patch. Here, let me just bring it closer so you can see. When you sew these together, they all the 4 patches are going to look like this as a 4 patch. So this creates an hourglass. And then, oops, I just messed it up. And then there's always going to be one of these half squares like shooting off into the darkness. So doesn't this look like what are those Star Wars, the black Star Wars, you know what I mean, like not the Millennium Falcon, not the X-Wing fighters, but what was the spaceship that Darth Vader was flying? Doesn't that look like that? I think it looks like that. Anyway, you know, because we always press to the dark side. Okay, I'm getting a little crazy. It's like 1 a.m. Let's just get this done, okay? All right, let's go. So, we'll tilt that camera down. And so you want to make sure that you keep these in the same direction. So I'm going to just make sure I line up all these edges, and then this is the sew edge. This is the edge that I want to sew, okay? So you want to make sure that is squared up and in place the correct way, like all the way around. And then 1/4 inch seams. And then you can chain piece. So you guys remember what chain piecing is. Make sure your seams go in the correct direction. And chain piecing is just putting one block to sew in after the other. Like one piece in after the without cutting. Oh, you can't even see that. Without cutting your thread. Okay? Okay. So now I'm going to do that column. I'm going to bring that column together, but I'm going to sew these two together. So flip right sides together. And 1/4 inch seam allowance. Mine just got a little wonky. Okay. Now it's another corner piece right here. So this is how it looks, the same way, with the black coming to the outside and the hourglass figure right here. So we put right sides together, and sew along these edges. Make sure it's all squared up as much as you can. Now I did sew mine a little wonky in the second video, and I did cut it a little wonky too. So mine's going to be quite wonky. Whoop. Chain piecing, chain piecing. Okay, now this is the first column. This creates the first column right here. This whole line that we just chain pieced, that is the first, actually 2 columns sewn together. So now I'm going to take the middle piece. So if you can see over here, I'm going to do this one. So I'm going to take this onto here, and then I'm going to do this onto here. So I know I am putting these 2 sides through the machine. And I do have a new camera coming to me. I ordered it yesterday. So we'll see if we can start editing. And then that way you won't be subject to like all this craziness, right? I could edit out all the weird parts and the lulls and the sewing. Now look at this. If you can see this, so see on this side right here and this side right here, that was my fault. I trimmed this flying geese a little too small, so that makes it a little wonky. So I'm gonna see if I can kind of make some of that up in the seam allowance. Let's see if that works. Now, before I get all this stuff back here out of whack and out of line, I'm just going to cut these apart in order that I sewed them in so that they stay in the order that I want them to stay in. Now remember, these two pieces, they are supposed to make a square block, right? So you have to remember which way that goes. Oh, did I just do that wrong? The hourglass should be... This should be an hourglass. How did I screw that up? How did I screw that up? I'm sure if I watch the video, I'll be like, oh yeah, that's how you screwed that up, Kim. How did I screw up that hourglass? Are you kidding me? Okay. Maybe it's a good thing that you see this stuff on film. You can see me screw up. Huh. I did that with both of them? Okay. No, I didn't screw up twice. Now, how does this go? Now I gotta figure out how this goes. Okay. Now I get it. Now I know. This goes like this. Okay, so this is actually right. Oh, I had that right the whole time. So this goes like this. Is that right? Why does it look so wrong to me, guys? Okay. This is good. This is actually good. Me being confused, because you might be confused too. So, let's work this out, all right? So, if I have this still unsewn, let's move this up. So if I have this unsewn, and I have these two sewn, let's put these here. So, this is this part, and this is backwards. And this is this part. Ah, there it goes. Now I see it. Do you see it? Put that like that. Okay. I see it now. So I'm going to iron this to make sure it's a flat surface. I like to work on a flat surface. I don't really like my fabric to be all popping up and wonky. I mean, it's wonky anyway. So, there we go. Okay, so, there. See how that works now? Okay, now the fabric is a little bowed. It's a good idea for you to, if that happens, to trim up your block. I'm not going to trim up that line. I'm just going to sew it. But you want to nest your seams, and at least that part will be right. Okay, so I'm going to double check. Are my seams nested? I think they are. Can I feel them nested? I think so. Okay, so let's take it back to the machine. I'm glad we talked through that. And then this is the same thing. So I think this is the same thing. No, I think this goes this way actually. Yeah, this goes like that. Okay, now I see it. Now I see the block. Okay. Yep. Now, I always say to iron to the dark side. However, I did not on this one. I just ironed it to the orange side. You can't really see that piece through. Okay. Sometimes you might need to steam it in place. Okay, so this goes like that. There we go. All right, now lock these seams. Lock these seams. Okay. Now, you can square it up. Again, that's a good idea. Do that as you go, so all your lines are straight. But I'm just going to wing it here. Again, this is a template. Okay, and then the next one. Make sure my seam underneath is flat. Okay, let's see how that turned out. Now I could continue chain piecing, but I just want to take a look at this. Okay. Yep, it's all right. Let's see if I matched the square. I matched the centers. Look at that. That's fantastic. Okay, so where's my scissors? Whoops. Cut these apart. Yep, there. So that's what it's supposed to look like, that little piece right there. So that's square. All right. Now, there are a lot of seams behind here. There are a lot of seams back here. So just iron to whatever way the fabric wants to go. I'm not even going to tell you to try to iron to the dark side. Just iron to whatever direction the fabric takes you. The fabric wants to go. If it wants to go a certain way, it's kind of like hair. You know, if you can't force your hair to go a certain way and still look good, then you just let it do whatever it wants. And again, you nest those seams and you're going to get these perfect corners. So I didn't even have good seam allowance here. It was kind of crazy. But when you nest your seams, your squares, your blocks will turn out all right. Will turn out all right. All right, and here I didn't even lose the point too. I kind of kept the point on that one. That's great. And my flying goose. I don't know if flying goose is right. Flying geese. My one flying geese. Okay, and let's try this one too. Let's see what this one looks like. Oh, I kind of lost the point on that one. There is one black thread there at the bottom. Just one. Okay. So, but that created a column. So let's go back to our thing here. All right. So, the flying goose goes in. Oh, can you see that? I can't even see that. So the flying goose goes in. We have one here. We have one here. And there. And so this is created already. And then remember, these little black triangles or your dark triangles or your pattern piece or whatever, they go towards the center. So the dark is pointing towards the center. So this is how these go. So now, when you sew these together, these go together and these go together. And then when you put those together, the whole column goes together like that. So you can see how this is forming your square. So I'm going to keep these apart right now. And then I'm going to work on this piece, on this column. Okay, so these pieces. I'm going to make a 4 patch right here. And again, you can nest, because these are 2 half square triangles, you can nest them so they're opposites. So see how they're opposites there? Nest them. You know what? I think I just confused myself. How does this go? Yep, just like that. Okay. So nest them, and I'm sewing on this edge. Make sure the edges line up. Make sure the center 45-degree angle lines up. And then sew. And again, 1/4 inch or maybe a scant 1/4 inch. Try to follow the same seam allowance. And then chain piece. So keep that one in the needle. And then Get the next one lined up and get that going. No need to cut the thread in the back here. No need to do that. Just keep it all in line. And now I'm going to sew my flying goose together. So right sides together. Right here. Sew along the flying goose edge. Or the point down edge. I may have lost that point there. And then the last four patch. The last four patch. Alright, and then that's it. I'm going to take those apart and check them out. So keep them in order. So when I open up this, whoops, this is our four patch. There. Now here we go again. Okay. There we go. Our A-wing, C-wing, D-wing, B-wing? B-wing fighter? I don't know what it's called. Anyway, that. Okay. Put those together. Now, because I like to work with fabric that isn't all puffy like this, see how puffy that is? I want it to be flat. I'm going to iron it down. And again, I'm not really concerned about seam, which way the fabric goes at this point. So it goes just like that. Okay? Damn, there's a lot of extra fuzz around here. Gee, I wonder why. There's always a cat around. This is an indispensable tool, this sticky roller. It helps a lot, especially with my cat around. It picks up extra cat fuzz. It picks up these little teeny tiny, so you can see these little teeny tiny threads. You know, the orange ones. So it really helps to keep my ironing surface free of fuzz and you know, threads and stuff. So there we go. We're going to do that. Put this together. Nest your seams. Nest those seams. And once you nest the seams, that's where you're going to get those crisp points. So make sure it's straight all the way down. And then 1/4 inch or a scant 1/4 inch. Make sure the seam underneath is flat. Alright, now I'm going to do the same to this one. And this one is already a complete block. Let's just open the flying goose. And there still is like one thread of fabric in there. Black fabric. So I didn't totally lose my point, but most of it I did. Yeah, once you iron it, you can kind of see, yeah, that point is lost. Yeah. But again, this is just a prototype for me. And then this piece will go this way in the block. Okay, so we're going to open these two now. Iron them open. And again, whatever way the fabric wants to lay, just let it do that. No need to fight it if it doesn't want to do a certain thing. Okay, just like that, we're going to put these together. Nest your seams. Chain piece. All right. We're kind of in the home stretch here, guys. So, open this up, see how I did. Hey, again, pretty good. Those corners matched. So, that means that I nested all of those seams perfectly. All right. And right there, too. Awesome. Okay. Now, when you put this into the block, again, the corner, the colored corner part goes into the center. Your dark corner or your pattern or whatever it is you're using goes right into the center. So, that is how your block is laid out. Now, we're just going to sew these together, and these together. Okay, so now, this is a great part. This is the time where you should square up these. So you see how this is not square right here? This is a perfect time to square up your blocks. Oh, right like that, okay? Perfect time to square up your blocks. Go ahead and square up your blocks. So if you wanted to see how I would do that, you just take a block. Now, if you have one that's exactly the right size, go ahead and use that. But if not, let's see, what size would these be? These should be 4.5 inches, actually. They should come out to 4.5 inches. They should be the same size as this middle block. So all of your blocks, and this one too, should be 4.5 inches. So if it's a scant 4.5 inches, you might have to do a little creative sewing. So this one is definitely not 4.5 inches. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but let's do this like that. So I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that? Here's the 4.5 inch mark right here. 4.5 inch. And 4.5 inch over. So this is a good 1/4 inch off. And that's because I trimmed this way too short. I trimmed my flying geese way too short. I should not have trimmed it as short as I did. So it is a good 1/4 inch. That will definitely throw off your block. That is not good. You don't want to have a 1/4 inch. I mean, 1/8 of an inch might be okay. You might be able to squeak by there, but a 1/4 inch, your blocks are going to be super wonky if that is the case. So, I mean, at that point, you can stop, create a new flying goose block, like this. What do you call it? Unit. Flying goose or flying geese unit like this. Which if you're, if you really want a good quality product and not super wonky, then yeah, then that's exactly what you would do. Me, however, I'm not going to do that. This block is a little bit over 4.5 inches, which is great because that gives me some room to, that gives me some wiggle room. However, because it's a little bit over 4.5 inches, that may make up for the scant 4.5 inches on this one. So I think I'm just going to leave it. All right, let's sew it together, okay? So again. Okay, guys, I just made, whoa, check this out. I almost made a major error. Well, it's not a major error, but see how I have this going this way? This is wrong. You want to have your background fabric right next to your square. So I had all of my flying geese going backwards. You want the start point or the point pointing in. The flying goose pointing in. I had them all pointing out. So that's not good. I mean, it's going to be, so let's check it out. If you do it this way, it's going to be a totally different look. Well, maybe not totally different, but it'll be a different type of look. So, if you check this out and you do it this way, it's not necessarily wrong, but now you've created diamonds here. So see how that happened? Oh wait, this block should be in like this. Okay, now that's better. So, do you see how that creates a completely different type of pattern? Here, let's bring it up. So I almost sewed it that way. And that creates a different type of pattern. It's not necessarily wrong, but that's not the picture that I have over here. That's not what I was going for. So what I was going for is the background bars, these rectangles, towards your center block. Okay, now this is the block that we're doing. That is the star that we're going for. Okay, that's the star that we're going for. So let's see if we can do that. All right. Now, you have seams right here that you can nest. Nest those seams. And if you squared everything up, then this part should go really easily. If you did not, like I did not, it's going to be a little bit wonky. Now you can chain piece here, of course, but I'm a little anxious to see what this looks like. Okay, it's a little wonky. I did not match my seam right there in the center, and that's okay. But if I had squared up all the blocks, all these squares, then that would have matched perfectly. Okay. So again, I like to work with a flat surface. I like my fabric to be pressed. Doesn't have to be super crisp, but definitely pressed. Okay, now I know that the background bar goes towards the center, just like that. Okay, so I can put this on here. And again, had I squared this up, this would be a lot easier to match. 1/4 inch seam allowance. And again, you can chain piece, but again, I'm a little anxious to see what this looks like. Okay, this is super wonky. See how this line is like jagged? Jagged, such a jagged line. Jagged line. All right. Okay. Yeah. Kind of a mess. Kind of a mess, guys. Okay, so now we're going to sew this unit to the centerpiece. And this part is done. This column is done. Uh-oh, something's wrong. I don't have any upper thread. Alright, so I have to of course I do. Something happened. Something happened to my thread, guys. Guys, something happened to my thread. Alright, here we go. Okay. Let's start over. Rethread the top through the needle. I'm going to use a leader. All right. Now let's try this again. Okay. Let's see what this looks like. Uh-oh, my cat is back. And she's saying, Mom, it is time to go to bed. Here we go. That's not bad. Just sewing 2 bars together. Okay. This is a longer video than I want, and I think if I get my camera, hopefully I can have some editing ability with it too. I don't understand because I have a video camera already, and I also have an iPhone 14 which does videos beautifully, but for some reason I'm not able to edit them, so I don't know if I will be able to or not, even with the new camera, which I hate spending money for no reason. If I can't use the equipment, it's pointless. Okay, so that's all lined up. I nested those seams. Try to keep your 1/4 inch seam allowance. Oh yeah. Okay. I think my cat is having an issue I need to go take care of. Okay, so open this. This goes to the center, so this goes on here. So I gotta finish this up. My cat is having an issue. Alright, there we go. Iron, iron. Open this up. That looks simple. And then we're in the home stretch here, guys. So this column, remember, these point to the inside. And then same with these. You get the other one, they point to the inside. So just 2 more lines of stitching, and then this block is complete. Now, remember, it's going to be 10.5 inches finished. It should be. So if we want to keep our 12.5 inch blocks, then we need to add a border around it or some kind of sashing. Okay, now open that up. That's nice and tight. And this side comes together. Keep your points to the center. Keep your points to the center. Okay, line up if you can. Line up these 2. See that? Nest those, and then the other ones should nest as well. Mine don't because they're wonky, and that's okay. I already know that, but I want to try to keep the center ones lined up. Okay, last row right here. This is way off again because it got a little wonky. Alright. Let's see if if that even caught in the seam allowance, and it did. That's amazing. All right, there. Here we go, guys. This is our finished block. This is called Robbing Peter to Pay Paul. It kind of looks like a spider web with the Halloween fabric. I love it, guys. I actually really like the way that turned out. Now, some of these corners don't match perfectly, but some do. So when you make it, and look how wonky that is. Yeah. So square it up, put your sashing around it, and then quilt it. Just put your backing on and your batting. Make your sandwich. At this point, you know how to make a quilt sandwich. And if you're new and this is the first video you're watching, I actually have a video on making a quilt sandwich. So go ahead and watch that video and then apply that to this piece. All right, guys, I love it. Check it out. Yay! It's awesome. Okay, I'll see you on the next video. So hit like and subscribe. Even though I took a really long time in this video, we will come up with a new block for April, probably closer to April. I have some other projects. We've already done like 2 or 3 projects for March already. 2 or 3 star blocks. At least 2 star blocks for March. So we're ahead of the curve here. So let's do some more other projects. I'll put those online. And don't think I have forgotten about some of the questions I asked. I have not forgotten about some of those questions I asked. We will get to the navy quilt soon. I actually have a stack right behind that. Oh, right behind, where am I pointing? Right there. Right behind, no, it's actually on this side. Oh, it doesn't matter. Behind that cat fabric there, I have a navy quilt that I need to sash. So that's also a quilt as you go. So quilt as you go means you're quilting each block at the, one block at a time instead of quilting the whole quilt as one unit. You're quilting each block. So that project is on hold. I'm gonna make a video out of that. And I have another project. I think I asked you another question if you wanted to see some of those, what else you wanted to see out of that fabric. So I have like a bag making project coming up, and I also have a fabric box. I just love that fabric box. So we're gonna do that on film too. I'll show you how to do that. So that might be coming up either in March or April, pretty soon. And then I also have that catio pad that I wanted to do as well. That March day, that March 1st, that was a beautiful day. That was a fluke. Of course. This is Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in the United States. Yeah, it's cold. So it snowed again. So the cats are not going outside. However, that project is on the list of things to do. So anyway, enjoy making this block, and leave some comments if you like. And if you see if I screwed up anywhere, let me know. All right, folks. Have a good night. We'll talk later. See you in the next video. Hit like and subscribe. Love y'all.